Been a bit of a disappointing offseason for the Arizona Diamondbacks, but according to CEO Derek Hall, we're not done yet? Welcome on into the PHNX Dbacks podcast, live from Studio K, presented by our friends over at Circle K. I am your host for today, at least, Damon Dog, aka Damon Fairall. I got my main man, Kevin Thomas, with me, as always, just tied at the hip, me and Kevin. And we're going to be just parlaying this into an AZ Wildcats pod a little bit later in the day. But first, we got to talk about some Arizona Diamondbacks baseball, what we got going on, what happened over the weekend, and some really interesting comments from one CEO, Derek Hall, at the team's golf charity event that they just had just a few days ago. But I got my guy Dalton Feely as well on from John Boy Media to come talk with me, discuss some D-backs baseball, and make his return to the podcast. So we'll get Dalton in here in a second. But hope everybody had a great weekend. Hope everybody is ready for a little bit of Mailbag Monday time on a Monday. And I hope my guy Derek Montilla is enjoying that sunny SoCal weather, living it up a little bit. Can't wait to hear about his whole experience out there at the Grammys, what a great time he had, and how much I'm doing his job for him just to make it all happen, right? But appreciate everybody for being here in the chat. Please drop a like on this video as we get in here early. We got all the staples in here. We got all my people, Deborah, Katie, got my guy CWP. What up, Chuck? Even some people that I honestly, I don't even recognize. Great to see you guys as well. So much fun here on a PHNX D-backs Monday edition episode. But why don't we go ahead and grab Dalton and bring him on in here. Dalton, been a bit of a long off season. We had you on a lot during the season. We missed you. How you been? How you doing, my guy?
I'm ready for some D-backs baseball, man. How you doing? I'm excited to be back. It's been a long time coming. Excited to talk some Diamondbacks baseball again. The offseason, it's not done yet, according to Derek Hall. So I'm excited to see how that continues. But I'm excited to be back talking some ball with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, why don't we just go ahead and grab that comment from one CEO, Derek Hall, Kevin, right off the jump here. We got a quote graphic here, and he says, I think we still have a few moves to make. I know we're still trying to find another complimentary first baseman, and I think we can still look to improve our pitching, both starters and relievers, but we will still have some moves to make. We're not done. That was CEO Derek Hall. Obviously, I have the picture of Mike Hazen because he's working the phones right there. But Derek Hall is telling people, slow your roll. Diamondbacks offseason is not quite over yet. We're going to get into, me and Dalton are going to give some offseason grades of different position groups, how we felt they've done thus far. But when you hear something like that, Dalton, what springs to mind?
Well, I do think the D-backs have a couple more moves they have to do in order to be somewhat competitive in the 2026 season. So I am excited to hear that the D-backs are willing to spend some more money or make some more moves. I do think it's been somewhat of a downish offseason in terms of what's happened over the last couple of off seasons where they've made some splashes with like the Corbin Burnes, the Erod Montes, and sure, some of those have worked out. Others, not so much, but I do think that, the D-backs had their expectations from 2023 on. Would love to see them continuing to add and try to build this core to where they can compete not only in the National League West, but across Major League Baseball.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It feels like, the last couple off seasons, the D-backs have been at like the forefront, right, of some of the biggest signings in the sport, whether it's Jordan Montgomery in that, disaster contract that ended up happening so late in the offseason, or whether it's Corbin Burnes, which was, the number one pitcher on the market last season. And, he might have taken a slight discount to be where he wanted in Arizona. We all know about the injury and how that happened. But I think it's fair to say that isn't necessarily on the Arizona Diamondbacks, similar to how the Jordan Montgomery or the Eduardo Rodriguez signings might have been. But a little bit quieter from the D-backs this offseason, especially when you factor in, and this is what Derek and I have been talking about, Dalton, Merrill Kelly was already on this team. So when your biggest signing is a guy that has been a staple of this organization for over half a decade, for almost a decade at this point, like it doesn't, I don't think it strikes the fan base as progress. Whereas it's a great signing. Merrill Kelly makes a big difference, 2 years, a little over $40 million, right? And he's one of the more underrated starting pitchers in all of baseball. But do you think this aspect of like having Merrill already, basically as a part of this organization, we just didn't get to see him for 8 starts or 10 starts or whatever it was in Texas, and now he's back? Do you think that factors into part of the reason that this offseason feels as quiet as it does?
I think a little bit, because not to say we assumed Merrill Kelly would come back or anything, but when you have somebody on the roster from the previous season and that season didn't go nearly as well as I think most people expected or hoped, and then the guy comes back, it's not like you're really making an addition to the team that struggled the year prior. Now, granted, if it was a different player that hadn't been on the organization that you signed, it's like a new toy, if you ask, like on Christmas Day, right? You open up a present, you're excited to see, oh, it's this. Merrill Kelly is a guy that we've had Merrill Kelly. Not to say people aren't excited. I love Merrill Kelly. He's the mainstay for a reason, and he's back in Arizona. But I do think it does attribute to the D-backs, I guess, downish offseason. I'm going to keep saying it because he had been on this team. The 2024-2025 rosters have underachieved to their expectations after the 2023 World Series run. So Merrill Kelly, as great of a pitcher as he is, I do think if they made another addition outside of him and Soroka to the rotation that really had its struggles last year, it would be more eye-popping than just Merrill Kelly and Soroka alone.
Now, what if that starting pitcher was one Zach Gallen? Because there has been some slight reports that the Diamondbacks are still sniffing around Zach Gallen. Maybe I could see a situation where Zach Gallen gets brought back on a very short-term deal to be in a situation in a place that he knows and that he's comfortable with. If it was Zach Gallen, they would almost blow the offseason purse that they had to going into the offseason out of the water. But again, it would be on another guy who this organization is so used to having, and it doesn't really feel like it's progress per se, correct?
Yes, but I do think if you were pulling the Arizona Diamondback fan base this offseason, I think most, if not all, would say it's very unlikely that Zach Gallen would return after the 2025 season. His comments after the season made it seem as if he felt like he was likely to depart. And if Gallen comes back, I'm surprised he's still a free agent first and foremost, but the starting pitching market has been pretty much robust recently. You still have guys like Framber Valdez, Chris Bassett, Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Nick Martinez, Zach Littell. You have a lot of guys, now obviously Zach Gallen's in that group. You have a lot of guys who are talented pitchers that could help any rotation in Major League Baseball. But Zach Gallen is probably the second guy on that list outside of Framber Valdez in terms of upside and what he can bring to a rotation. Mind you, in 22 and 23, he was in the top 5 in Cy Young voting both of those years. Last year was what I would consider an outlier year for Zach Gallen. I'm curious to see if he comes back, because it's interesting, right? When you look at free agency, when a player has a down year and he hits free agency, does he want to prove it, like a go back to a prove it deal, which could have been like that qualifying offer that he turned down, or is he willing to take a chance elsewhere and try and help his pitching development, if you will? So I'm very curious to see what Zach Gallen gets, regardless if it's with the Diamondbacks or any other team that in free agency this offseason, because I think he's an intriguing case, because he's a very, very good pitcher when he's right. He had his struggles in 2025, but I don't think that's really the pitcher he is.
Yeah, I mean, his second half stats bared a completely different picture of that player, and specifically not second half, but post deadline. It felt like once he was settled of knowing that he was going to be, for lack of a better word, stuck in Arizona for the back end of the year, it felt like he kind of locked in, and we started seeing flashes of the Zach Gallen that was the ace of this team and this organization for as long as he was. But yeah, it's interesting to see his market be as kind of cold as it is. I wonder if that kind of leads to any more conversations with the D-backs saying, hey, if things don't work out, you still have a home here. We can make it work on a very short-term deal and think about it next offseason. But another guy that we are very familiar with that just recently signed elsewhere, Dalton, is Eugenio Suarez, who is going back to Cincinnati. It seems like Suarez likes to just play musical chairs with the teams that he's already been a part of in his career. If you think about The Tigers were sniffing around him at the beginning of the trade deadline, wanting him back. The Reds wanted him back. The Mariners obviously got him back. Like, it feels like Gino is tied to these organizations. What did you make of that signing for the Cincinnati Reds?
I will say for Gino, very happy for him because by golly, he is such a good player, but also a really good guy. I feel like by all accounts that have been reported from the Diamondbacks beat or locker room that everyone loves Gino. We know it's Gino. I wish he got a larger deal. I was surprised to see it was a 1 for 15 with the mutual option. The mutual option usually doesn't get exercised, so it's going to probably be a 1 for 15. A guy hit 49 home runs last year. I thought he was going to get a multi-year deal. I know the defense has struggled. I understand he's going to be primarily a DH, but my fun fact I had for Talking Baseball, John Boy Media's overall baseball podcast, was there's three active players that have multiple seasons of 49 home runs or more. Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Eugenio Suarez. So you know what he's going to provide with the power. You know what he's going to provide with the locker room and clubhouse vibes. I'm very happy for him. Really wish there was a way the D-backs could have brought him back, whether it was third base prior to the Nolan Arenado trade, or if it was you slot him at first base or primary the DH spot, because that is a significant power bat for any lineup. So the Reds got a good one in Gino.
Yeah, that was something that I had floated to Derek on this podcast of like, at what point do we start talking about our DH option bringing back Gino? Like you could do a lot worse than a guy who, maybe is a little bit boomer bust, a little bit swing and miss, but he puts the ball over the fence, and that kind of production can't just be, scoffed at when you're talking about, no offense, but the unknown of what an Adrian Del Castillo is probably at the exact moment at the DH position. So I was all in on potentially trying to get Gino back here and seeing if maybe that was a situation he'd be interested in, because it seems like he didn't really want to go at the trade deadline. And I wonder if, that was, something that this organization could have worked out. But I just don't know that the Diamondbacks have that kind of money to spend on a position like that. $15 million in one signing, although it's, pretty low risk being that it's a 1-year deal. It just seems like kind of a lot of upfront money for this organization. So yeah, that was interesting to see as well. There have been a lot of holes filled, but there's also a lot of holes that have been unfilled because this team had so many needs going into this offseason. And that was kind of the struggle, right? Of like, there's a lot of needs to fill and they don't really have the money necessarily to fill all of them. They're going to need to find ways to supplement that here and there. And so, when we do this exercise here in a second, just kind of grading this Diamondbacks offseason thus far, we're going to take a peek at each position group and kind of go through and say, what did they do at that position that, what are we happy with? What grade do we give them? So, we'll get into that here in a second here on the PHNX Dbacks podcast. But first, we're going to hit our first break. So do not go anywhere. Leave a like. It's time to talk about Pure Edibles. I know Derek's not here on set, so it's a little weird to talk about his favorite company with him not here, but Pure Edibles was founded in Arizona, available in over 130 dispensaries statewide. Kevin and I have done some research on that. There's about 170 dispensaries in the great state of Arizona, and 130 of them carry Pure Edibles products. So if you're at one of the ones that doesn't, find yourself a new dispensary. It was created in Flagstaff, Arizona at Noble Herb Dispensary, which is the home of Pure Edibles, but now it's made all in Phoenix, Arizona. Their Pure gummies are not covered with sugar like all the competitors, and the effects are clearly marked on the tins of each box, so you know exactly what you're getting into. If you want some sleep effects, you want some uplifting effects, you want maybe a little bit of a hybrid in between type of effect, Pure Edibles has got you covered with very clearly listed effects on their tins. Guys, it is the absolute best, and they also have a current combination that they are doing all-in-one device, Kevin, with Mother Road Brewing Company, the Church Station IPA. They're made it into an all-in-one device that is smokable. It's fantastic. We love it so much over here at PHNX Sports. So who says happy hour has to end when you can combine two of your favorites with Noble Road's new Tower Station IPA all in one when it's happy hour all the time. So go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of over the 130 dispensaries across the great state of Arizona. I also want to tell you guys about another company that is a staple of the state, and it is Arizona Lottery. Multiplier scratchers are the perfect way to add to your life. You want some more of the better things, Kevin? How about vacations? How about, buying a new car? How about putting a down payment on a house? Arizona Lottery is going to help you try to get there by adding these multipliers to your life. Multiplier scratchers, multiply all the good things, and there's over $270 million in prizes. You could win big enough to do more of the things that you love. Multiplier tickets start at just $1 and have prizes of up to $5 million. If I got that type of money, Kevin, I wouldn't be sweating anything. I'd be living it up. Maybe going to Waste Management, hitting up 16, buying myself my new truck, all of the above. I couldn't imagine what I could do with those $270 million in winnings that Arizona Lottery is giving away this multiplier scratcher season. So guys, check it out for yourself. With access to over 3,500 retailers across the state, you can play whenever and wherever you like. We're back on the PHNX Dbacks podcast, and right before we get into these offseason grades, I did want to just discuss two guys that have been mentioned in reports with the Diamondbacks, Dalton, in recent times here, whether it was John Gambadoro of Arizona Sports on the weekend saying that the Diamondbacks are interested in one Carlos Santana. I believe that there has been a lot of mentions of Ty France, who played on the Twins and the Blue Jays last year as well. Any thoughts on either one of these guys as potential platoon options at first base for the Arizona Diamondbacks?
I think I would lean Carlos Santana over Ty France if we're putting them up side by side and comparing who we'd rather have for the 2026 Arizona Diamondbacks. Carlos Santana is another guy who is heralded for his defense and for his locker room too. He'd be a great veteran addition to a somewhat overhauled roster. A little bit. I wouldn't want to say overhauled. That might be a stretch. But I think for Santana's case, the offense did slip in 2025, but you're still seeing that +8 outs above average. He was a Gold Glove caliber first baseman over the last couple of seasons. The age is a question mark, obviously, with him being, I believe, close to 40 years old, if not 40 already. I think it's going to be his age 40 season. But batting .219 with a .633 OPS, those were one of his lows, if not lowest, of his career in a single season. I prefer Santana. I am very curious to see what his price would be. I'm assuming it'd be a one-year deal. I think it would be less than maybe also, say, a Paul Goldschmidt. But we're going to find out later in this free agency to see where Santana, Goldschmidt, and France may sign. Goldie's obviously the guy I think a lot of Arizona Diamondback fans would want to bring back as the platoon guy. But if it's not Goldschmidt, I think Santana would be my secondary choice.
I think as far as like a lefty masher, it's hard to do better than one Paul Goldschmidt. If you look at his splits against lefties, like that dude is just crushing the baseball against them. And that's what you need with Pavin Smith, right? And if you're going to go into the season and Pavin Smith is going to be the guy versus right-handed pitching, then you need to bring in an option that is going to be able to hit left-handed pitching, because that's just not something that Pavin's ever going to really be able to do probably. So I think Goldschmidt is obviously the ideal option. I think that's what we want. It seems like I'm hearing a little bit more rumors in Yankee land, Dalton, that maybe Goldie is a potential option to be brought back. I know you're out there in New York. What are you hearing on those streets?
I know Yankee fans want him back, that's for sure, to maybe supplement Ben Rice at first base. Right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, it does really sound like it's the Arizona Diamondbacks or the New York Yankees for Paul Goldschmidt's services in 2026. Two places that he's also familiar with. We're talking about Eugenio Suarez going to a couple places where he's already known. Goldschmidt, the same thing. I'm hoping it's a reunion. I know the guys out here at John Boy Media are hoping Goldschmidt comes back to the Yankees, but it's not confident at all.
Yeah, I think that would be the ideal option. Why don't we take a look at Ty France's Baseball Savant page as well and get a peek at his underlying statistics? A little bit better, I would argue, in the hitting department side of things from last season. Also, very solid fielder, similar to Carlos Santana. Both guys with very high outs above average, and definitely Gold Glove contenders over there if they're playing a full season at first base. So it seems like maybe that's part of what's being valued here is, hey, we know that we're not going to be, necessarily bringing in a Freddie Freeman at this point in the offseason, but we could bring in a guy who is going to be really solid defensively, help us on that side of the baseball, bring some leadership and bring some experience to the table as well. Carlos Santana, I think a little bit bigger name than Ty France, but Ty France a little bit younger, just played in the World Series, so he has that bit of appeal as well. Should be interesting to see, because it definitely feels like, especially with Derek Hall's comments that we showed previously on the show, like a platoon first baseman is absolutely the priority right now when it comes to what the team has left in the offseason. He said maybe pitching, maybe starting pitching, maybe bullpen help. But he said definitely a complimentary first base option. And I think that is pretty telling, showing their hand there. But we're going to get into some grades here, Dalton, on how we think the Diamondbacks have fared so far this offseason, position group by position group. I think we should probably start off with the starting pitching side of things, just because that makes the most sense. And that felt like the thing that, maybe had the biggest hole as well on going into this offseason, given that you had 3 starting pitchers, kind of penciled in the rotation. You needed to bring in 2 more. You've since done that. What do you got for us in terms of a grade for starting pitching moves that we've made this offseason?
Yeah, I'll keep it brief because we did mention a lot about the starting pitchers in the open of this episode. I would give the D-backs probably a B- in terms of addressing the starting rotation. They bring in Michael Soroka, who I do believe fares better as a potential relief option. Honestly, I think his metrics, his pitches would work better as a reliever. But that said, he has the history as a starting pitcher. Hopefully, he can stay healthy. That has been something that has been a struggle for him basically his entire career. You bring back Merrill Kelly again, which isn't probably the most intriguing option, I guess, in free agency, but Merrill Kelly, the mainstay for a reason, as I said earlier. Very happy he comes back. He'll lead the rotation. And oddly enough, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he's slated to make his first career opening day start pending injury for the Arizona Diamondbacks, even though he's been there for 7 or 8 years already. So I think that's something that's going to be really fun for Merrill Kelly. And you have Brandon Pfaadt, you have Eduardo Rodriguez, you have Ryan Nelson still in the rotation. Would have loved if they got a high-end pitcher, but you have Corbin Burnes on the IL. I like what they did. It's not the most appealing thing in terms of what they could have done with all the free agent options out there, but I do like what they've done. They've at least tried to address the position, which other positions they have not, which we will get into.
When you say B-, it made me nod my head because that's exactly where I was going with my grade as well. I think this one's a B-. I think it's like if I was divvying out a grade on the test, I'd give him like an 81. I'd be like, you know what? You did enough. You wrote your name at the top of the paper and, it was, you met the requirements, but did you go above and beyond? Was it a great essay? I wouldn't say it was a great essay, but I think that they did a solid enough job of filling holes. Soroka is at least, somewhat intriguing given that he had an all-star performance in the past and, has shown flashes at least, since then, despite having injuries. And then Merrill is, as you say, the mainstay. Like he's as consistent as it gets. It's hard to not be happy with Merrill Kelly. I wish he was like our number 2. I think if he was the number 2, that would be ideal. But, you can't be mad at bringing back a franchise legend in one Merrill Kelly. Now, this one is easy. Let's get into the bullpen here, Dalton. Because what other grade could you give other than an F, right?
I don't want to flunk anybody. I gave a D-, but basically the same premise. I mean, look, this is where I've been relatively calm. I'm going to stay calm. I had a migraine earlier today, so I'm not feeling 100%. But if I was going to rant, it's going to be in the bullpen because the D-backs last year set the record for most pitchers to record a save in a season with, I believe, 17 different pitchers. The bullpen, and obviously the cards have not been dealt well in terms of the Martinez and Puck injuries for the D-backs bullpen, But to sign only Taylor Clark and Jonathan Loaisiga, who is, I believe, a minor league deal. It's not even a major league deal for Loaisiga. To a bullpen that is, quite frankly, just completely disastrous. There's no for sure answer, especially in the back end. Like you can name 8 different of the bullpens, like 7 or 8 slots. You could probably name 20 pitchers that could be on this bullpen roster come opening day. And I'll be like, yeah, sure, that makes total sense. There's not a lot of pure MLB guys, in my opinion, that like definitively have a role, like going through the positions, like Saul Frank Thompson, Kevin Ginkel hopefully comes back and bounces back. Dre Jameson's hopefully healthy. And then it's a lot of guys they've either signed the last couple of off seasons or traded for the last couple of off seasons, either these young guys or older veterans. I'm very curious to see how the bullpen shakes out, but what they've done currently, I have to give it a D-.
Yeah, they also made a kind of, I think, an under the radar savvy signing I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name. Can you scroll up real quick? I think Derek Law, right? Derek Law, they brought in last week.
Yes.
And he sat out all the 2025 season, but he was very good in 2024. So, hopefully that's one that could pan out, but it feels like a lot of hoping, right? It feels like a lot of hoping that the guys that you brought in at the trade deadline last year are going to work out. And maybe that's the move that Mike Hazen made at that time in preparation for this offseason. Maybe he was looking at the offseason and saying, you know what, I don't think we're going to be able to go toe-to-toe with the Dodgers for an Edwin Diaz or bring in even like a Kyle Finnegan or somebody like that. So our best bet is to use what we have on this roster to trade for relievers and build the bullpen organically through having young guys in minor leaguers. And you know, that's fine. That's good. I think in a lot of organizations that would be ideal. But when you're the Arizona Diamondbacks and you consistently have a bottom 10 bullpen year in and year out, every single year of this franchise's tenure, basically, it's starting to feel like there are times where you're like, I don't know, man, go out and get Edwin Diaz. We could use the guy who we feel like actually confident about at a certain point in this bullpen. So I'm going to go ahead and give it an F. I think if you're just talking about the off season, right? Because trade deadline is another situation, and these trade deadline guys might work out, but I have not seen anything in way of like actual bullpen help that makes me feel better about this team going into next season. And so I have to be a little bit brutal here. I think I have to go give an F. But this next one is really interesting, and I kind of divvied it up like this to make it as interesting like this, Dalton, because on the one hand, you have one of the bigger moves of the offseason at third base. On the other hand, you have one of the loudest non-moves of the offseason in zero signings made at the first base spot outside of, I believe, Luke and Baker was signed from the St. Louis Cardinals and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Minor league contract as well. Shouldn't expect too much out of him. What do you make of this corner infield group and what the Arenado addition and the lack of additions at first base, and how would you kind of cumulatively grade that?
I think right now I'm gonna sit at a C minus, and it's also, I think my grade's a little bit skewed because of the first base is a complete question mark with, Pavin Smith, the platoon option, and then Tyler Locklear is injured, and hopefully he gets ready soon after acquiring him from Seattle during the trade deadline. But third base, Nolan Arenado, Gold Glove option, Gold Glove caliber. That's fantastic. But the offensive numbers have taken a dive over the last 3 seasons, or last 4 seasons, really. 891 OPS in 2022. That's fallen now to a 666 in 2025. Over 200-point drop in the OPS from over the last 4 seasons, and it's been a gradual decrease. So there is some concerns on the offensive side of the ball for Nolan Arenado. That said, when you have a shaky pitching staff that might not punch a lot of tickets out, you're going to need someone who can players who can field some ground balls, and that left side defense between Arenado and Perdomo is absolutely electric. Arguably the best defensive left side of the infield in baseball currently. So that's my bright side for Arenado. But between the question marks at first base and between Arenado's question marks as a hitter now for the Diamondbacks entering 2026, I give it a C minus. And I do think my last point is, like, I think my grade's a little bit skewed because we're going from Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor in 2025 to Nolan Arenado and to be determined at first base. And that is a significant drop off. I know they've tried to fill that void at first base, but they haven't done it yet. So I guess it's to be determined in the overall grade, but currently right now I would sit at a C or a C minus.
Yeah, a lot of belief in Pavin Smith in this organization, whether it's willing belief or whether it's, that's the best option that we got. Pavin Smith is going to be tasked with having a huge role on this team next season. And frankly, the Diamondbacks just need him to be more consistent, right? Like he always shows flashes. That's his thing. The second that you're out on Pavin Smith, he hits a grand slam and wins you the baseball game. And you're like, oh, that was fun. Now he's going to go into another slump for a month and be a black hole at the first base position, which is kind of unacceptable in modern baseball. Like your first baseman has to be able to hit and provide power numbers, or else it's a complete disaster. I'm with you. I'm actually pretty high on the Arenado move. I think that, despite that offseason or the gradual digression of what we've seen from him, regression from what we've seen from him, digression's not a word. I think that he will bounce back offensively being in a better environment. I think the Cardinals have been an absolute disaster the last couple of seasons. The Diamondbacks are a really well-oiled hitting organization. Joe Mather knows what he's doing. And I just think getting around these group of hitters is really going to help elevate him and maybe not make him like the 890 OPS guy that you talked about earlier. But I think we could get back in the mid 700s and feel very comfortable with what Nolan Arenado is providing us in the 2026 season. But I'm going to stick with C- as well. Go ahead. Yes, Dalton.
Kev, you're gonna hate me. I'm gonna change my grade to a C flat, just a C. And the part that came to my head that I forgot about is that the Cardinals are paying a lot of that contract for Nolan
Correct.
Arenado. So
Yep.
it's not like the D-backs are giving a complete major deal to Nolan Arenado. I believe it's $11 million over the next 2 seasons. Obviously him at the plate will be the biggest question mark, but for that price, I feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah, 11 million over 2 seasons is nothing to scoff at. It's a fantastic price, and having the Cardinals pay a lot of that contract is definitely extremely helpful. Now, I don't know if you want to give a grade on this next one, Dalton, when it comes to middle infield, because I was willing to just put an NA, not available, because I don't really even know what they needed to do in way of middle infield. They have the best middle infield in baseball. I'm not sure that's even a remotely close discussion. You have the best shortstop in the sport last year, 7 WAR, Jerry Perdomo, captain, C on his chest, do it yesterday. And then you also have Ketel Marte, who's been the best second baseman in baseball for 5 years. So I'm of the opinion that this one I'll give him a pass on. I didn't need to see anything. You still have Blaze, you still have Jordan Lawler that can supplement at those positions, even Tim Tawa. So I'm fine just going NA here.
Ironically enough, Damon, I went A. And
okay.
It's, I guess, ironic or funny, but because it's a cliche statement, but sometimes the best move is the one you don't make. And we had heard the entire offseason that the Ketel Marte trade rumors. And I understand, trading Ketel Marte could bring in some pitching, and that it could have really helped there, where to a rotation that's had massive struggles over the last couple of seasons. But Ketel Marte is the best second baseman by a landslide in the sport.
Yeah.
So not trading him, I think, is a huge non-move to keep the D-backs middle infield at an A.
You know what? I'm changing mine. I'm going A+, Kevin. Dalton convinced me. I agree. Sometimes the best move is the move you don't make. And in this situation, the best move was to not trade the guy who is far and away, not even close, the best player at his position in the sport, unless you were going to get a monster type haul for him, right? And I think that's what Mike Hazen and the Diamondbacks were trying to get from the Red Sox in particular. Like, hey, if you're gonna give us Tolle and Duran and Marcelo Mayer, sure. But if you're not willing to pony up what it costs to get a superstar perennial all-star, then you're not getting him on a discount. And it felt like everybody was sitting there going, oh, the D-backs and Ketel, they're beefing. They don't like each other. We can probably try to get Ketel on the margins here. Not like that at all. It was never going to cost minor leaguers. It was always going to cost MLB-ready guys who were ready to make an impact on next year's roster. And if that wasn't going to be paid up, then it was just not going to be a deal that was going to be made. So I'm with you. A+. I love it. Might be the best move of the offseason, not trading one Ketel Marte. We'll find out in short term here. But moving on, we're getting into the outfield. And this one is interesting because they have a pretty big hole at outfield in the left field spot in particular. They traded away Jake McCarthy. So they actually lost an outfielder here in the process. And it seems like that they're going to be going in the direction of trying to internally develop, trying to believe in Blaze Alexander to take some starts in left field, believe in Ryan Waldschmidt maybe to have a hot spring and make a big impact and influence on Torey Lovullo and his staff. So what do you make of this outfield group and what they, I guess, didn't really do this offseason?
I think this is more of a C- or a not available grade because they haven't really made an addition. It was just a subtraction of Jake McCarthy. And if you want to talk about, it's not an off-season move, but Lourdes Gurriel Jr. tears his ACL, which is why that left field spot is open. I think my concern for outfield is just going to be the inexperience in that left field spot because it sounds like the 3 options, at least for right now, are Ryan Waldschmidt, who's not made his MLB debut, though he's a top 100 prospect. Very excited to watch him play in the desert when he gets called up. Jordan Lawler potentially moving to the outfield. There was rumblings that he might potentially move to center field or left field. That could be an option, but again, has primarily been on the left side of the infield for most of his career. And then Blaze Alexander, who just recently moved to the outfield during the end of last year. He was primarily a middle infielder, played some third base. So you have three guys, whether they're inexperienced at the position or haven't really played Major League Baseball, as the guys currently penciled in at that left field spot. Obviously, right now, Alec Thomas, Corbin Carroll, that remains the same. So there's not much change on at center and right, but left field's a big question mark, and it's arguably outside of first base and the pitching spots. That's the next biggest blank area for the team.
Yeah, I'm with you. It seems like Lourdes is really moving fast in his rehab. I don't know if you're locked into what he's posted on Instagram, Dalton, but the dude's in the cages every day. He's sliding. He's doing full base running outside, doing sliding drills. And he's even posting stuff like #opening day 2026 on his Instagram stories. So I don't know if, maybe he's being a little bit hopeful and whatnot, but I do think we're going to see Lourdes Gurriel sooner rather than later once the season starts. Hopefully we won't be without that piece for so long. And it's funny because I've been really hard on Gurriel, but when you look at the roster that we have right now, like, we need Gurriel bad, because he is, outside of the three triumvirate of elite players at the top of this lineup, he's probably the next most, I guess the guy that you would put your chips in on and say, like, this is an MLB player that is going to help you win baseball games for the most part. He obviously has his flaws, but I think Lourdes, hopefully is back soon. Not much in the way of outfield additions here. But I really do believe in Ryan Waldschmidt. I think Ryan Waldschmidt, for some reason, he just has the makings for me as like a really good baseball player that, he played SEC baseball. He's moved through the minor league system very fast. He's looked good at every stop. So I'm hoping that he just takes it, full grasp in the spring and just says, this is my position because I'm undeniably the best that we have here. I think that's the ideal scenario for Arizona, but I'll go give it a D+. I did want to see Jake moved, not that not in a nasty way, but I did think it was time to move on from Jake McCarthy. So I was fine with that trade happening. And, I hope Alec Thomas rewards this team with a little bit of, better play with the belief that we've shown in him as an organization so far. But I'm going to go D+ on the outfield situation. You can go ahead and just mark me down as an F- at DH and that's not to say that I think that, ADC can't be good, because I do think ADC could be good. And I like ADC. I just don't know if I like ADC as my penciled in starter at DH going into a season.
You could say D for me in DH. I do have a soft spot for ADC. A quick story. I think it was my first time back in Arizona after the 2023 World Series was August 9th, 2024. It was a Friday night game versus the Phillies. It was a 2-2 ball game. ADC hits a walk-off solo home run. Was such an electric atmosphere, such a great moment. It was so awesome to see that. And so ever since then, I'm like, ADC, like, I totally believe in him. He can do it. He could be the guy. But we're doing off-season grades. There's question marks about ADC in terms of, facing lefties. Is there going to be a platoon option at DH? And they haven't really made a move to complement the DH position. So I have to give it a D.
Yeah. I the second you said that, where you're like, I got a soft spot for him, I was like, oh yeah, Dalton was at that ADC walk-off game where he came in and pinch hit and just sent it to the moon. That was one of the best, moments of that season for sure. And just an absolutely electric moment in general. I really like ADC. I hope that he carves out a role for himself as the long-term, kind of option at catcher, because I do think that, with his hitting prowess and him being a lefty and Gabby being a righty, like, you could make that platoon be a long-term situation here in Arizona. And if he could just defend a little bit better, get a little bit, of development on the defensive side, which, is asking a lot here. But I don't know if he's good enough to straight up be your designated hitter. I do think he provides value in that if he's your catcher, he's a really good offensive catcher. But as a designated hitter, I think he's, you're hoping for middle of the pack almost. So we'll see here on the DH side of things, but yet another hole that really wasn't exactly the best filled hole. One thing I'm realizing we forgot here was catcher. We can just kind of toss in an off the cuff. Like, I'll give it a B+. I'm happy James McCann's back. I think that's a good move. he kind of seemed to settle the pitching staff last season when he got brought in, and so I'm happy with that. So if you want to give a quick James McCann grade, go ahead.
Ditto. Literally. I mean, he was fantastic when he came in, helped the pitching staff. I couldn't say it better.
Now, Dalton, if you had to give an overall grade for this offseason, what would you be sitting at here?
I think there needs to be an asterisk next to it just because obviously it's not done, but currently where the D-backs sit from this offseason, I would say a C-. I think that also comes about what they do at first base. Is there a left field move? Is there another pitcher brought in, whether it's in the bullpen or rotation? But it's a little bit underwhelming. I will say my favorite move currently has been the Merrill Kelly bringing him back. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at the asterisk. Kev, great job. That's awesome. I love the Merrill Kelly signing because the rotation needed a for sure fire pitcher. Obviously, he's better as SP2 than SP1, but they needed a stability, somewhat like a calming cause person in that spot. But there's still a lot of holes to be filled for this Diamondbacks roster. Hopefully, they make a move at first base, left field, starting pitcher, reliever. Arenado upside if he has an offensive resurgence. I'm back in. I love it, but right now I would sit at a C-.
Yeah, I think I was rolling with a C- myself as well. I think that you do kind of bare minimum, and I think you do enough to get along where, this team is going to be decent next season, right? Like I do think that this team will be good enough, and really if they just have some better luck, that alone could give you a few more wins here and there because the injury luck has been so poor. The bullpen luck has been about as disastrous as you can imagine, where every guy's either getting hurt or, the ones that you do feel comfortable with, like Ryan Thompson and Kevin Ginkel, are just having absolute stinker seasons. So, I think that this C- is fair. It's enough to make this team competitive in 2026, but it's not enough to make us as Diamondbacks fans feel like this team is like a real contender to win anything significant in 2026.
I'll just say C-. What am I doing? Like, I'm going to be with you, Damon. Like, hopefully they make another move and hopefully we're able to change it. Be like, yeah, this offseason was a lot better than we originally thought. But currently where it sits, I'm a little bit pessimistic, and that's tough coming from usually an optimistic guy. Kev, great job. I mean, that looks fantastic.
Yeah, just a phenomenal job by my guy, Kevin Thomas. And of course, great job by my guy, Dalton Feely as well. Always bringing the heat here on the PHNX Dbacks podcast. Generous with his time today. We kept him a little extra long. I appreciate you, Dalton. I know you got that migraine. Take care of yourself. And we look forward to talking to you next time right here on the PHNX Dbacks pod.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Dalton. Of course, give Dalton a follow at DFeely14. That's DFEELY14. And just support all of his great work that he's got going on for John Boy Media, Talking Baseball, you name it. Dalton Feely is the absolute man. We're going to get back into this podcast, the PHNX Dbacks podcast, and get into some mailbag questions, answer your mailbag questions right after our final break here on the AZ Wildcats pod. PHNX Dbacks pod. Studio K, sponsored by our friends over at Circle K, and for good reason, because Circle K is America's thirst stop, and the Inner Circle Rewards membership program is free, and it's here to save you guys money. So guys, if you haven't signed up for this Inner Circle Rewards membership yet, I don't know what you're doing. You just hate money. 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents off per gallon every single time you fill up after that until you hit premium status like me and Kevin, and you get 5 cents off per gallon every single time you fill up at the tank. And over the course of a year, guys, that really adds up. Inner Circle Rewards membership is not just a gas membership, though. They also have drink deals, snack deals, you name it. Everything inside those Circle K walls, they're offering deals with our Inner Circle Rewards members. So guys, get involved in that. Check it out for yourself. And join the Inner Circle for free by downloading that Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Also need to tell you guys about my good friends over at Branded Bills. Now, Branded Bills, they don't have a ton of D-backs hats, but they made this really special one last season, Kevin, for season ticket holders. You know, me and Derek had to get our hands on a couple of them because it is absolutely pristine. I'm excited for maybe some more future Diamondbacks and Branded Bills memberships down the road, but that's not where the buck stops. They got Arizona hats, they got Arizona State hats, they got Phoenix Suns hats, and they got so much more over, what is it? The campus collection has, 80 universities, 80 plus universities involved with with, 40 partnerships with universities, but we always care about the ASU, the U of A ones, also NAU, GCU, you name it. They got all the local ones because they're a local company based out of here in Mesa, Arizona. We love our friends over at Branded Bills. We thank them so much for sponsoring all of our podcasts here at PHNX Sports and getting us fitted with the absolute premier headwear in the game here, whether it's a trucker, a fitted, a snapback, a beanie, even a t-shirt. Branded Bills has got you covered. The ultimate custom apparel and the ultimate team branded apparel over at Branded Bills. Head on over to brandedbills.com. Use promo code BBPHNX and get 15% off your first order. Welcome back to the PHNX Dbacks podcast. Please drop a like on this video if you are here in the chat. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, The Journey. That means the world to me. It is Damon Dog Week at PHNX Sports, and I hope you guys are all ready and locked in for it because I'm on every damn show. I even told Anthony Totri I'm taking over the PHNX Sun Devils podcast from here on until the end of the week. So I'm doing it all. I got my hands in every pot. Whatever you guys want.
I just ran the applause for you, Damon, by the way.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that, man. We're going to get into some mailbag here, but first, Karen asked a question. What are we going to do for Cogs' 21st birthday next year? Man. I mean, we got to do something special, clearly. I'm sitting here and I'm sick to my stomach that the A's are still going to be in Sacramento because the move was always Vegas A's. Was it not? I thought that was the whole point of them moving to Vegas was that so we could celebrate Cogs' 21st birthday in Vegas. I guess not. What a disaster. We'll figure it out, though. We'll do something fun. Absolutely have to. Maybe talking stick. Who knows? When is Cogs' birthday? Karen, would you mind putting that in the chat? What is the month? Because that will factor into maybe some of the activities that we could or could not do, especially here in Arizona. But yeah, appreciate everybody being here in the chat. Drop a like for your boy here. Drop a like for my guy Kevin Thomas. And drop a like for a little bit of Mailbag Monday because you guys know what time it is. And you know what we do on Mondays. You know what day it is. What is it, Kevin?
Every week is Shark Week. Every month is Black History Month, but this one is actually Black History Month. Every day is Black Women's History Day. Every month is Black Women's Latinx History Month Day. Shout out to all the mail carriers. This is Mail Carrier Monday. You can't get your bag without the mail. Play the music.
Always something interesting in my mailbox. I try to get to everything in my mailbox. And then once in a while, there's a letter that makes me go, wow, wow, my mailbox.
Wow. It's Cog's birthday today. Happy birthday to one of the GOATs of this podcast, one Cogs, who is a staple, has been on the show now multiple times. Had to earn it by doing a scavenger hunt to find our new office, which was absolutely electric. And Cogs has a very, very bright future in this business. I know that dude loves Diamondbacks baseball and just baseball in general more than just about any single person that you will ever meet. So Cogs has a super bright future. We're really excited for him. 20 years old, man. Is that right? 20 years old. We got a 2 in front of him. I mean, that's special. He's growing up. Our sweet baby boy, Karen. He's growing up in front of our eyes. Make a grown man shed a tear, Kevin. Why don't we get into our first mailbag question here? And it is, of course, from my guy, Travis Moore, who is our leadoff hitter. It wouldn't be anybody else other than Travis Moore to lead this one off. How do we convince the front office to DFA Barossa? He seems like a really nice guy and all, but he's literally just taking up space in a major league lineup. He's a negative value at the plate and blocking guys who have potential. Now, here's what I'll say to you, Travis Moore. I agree with you. And you guys know me. I'm not the guy who's going to mince my words and be like, well, Pavin Smith's a nice guy, so we want him on the team. It's like, no, let's hope. If you're not helping this organization win, then it's time to move on. That being said, I think Jorge Barossa is a guy that really has no business being on the 40-man roster, right? He's somehow still on the 40-man roster. Feels like he's the first guy that would be off of it if there was a move to be made here in the near future. So I do think that I'll go get out ahead of it and say that if the Diamondbacks are to bring in another guy, another free agent, you name it, I think Jorge Barossa will be the one that goes. But on the bright side about Jorge Barossa, and I'll give him this, he played such a little amount of innings last season. He had 77 plate appearances in total, and he had 4 outs above average. 4 outs above average in that little amount of time. I mean, he's an absolute black hole at the plate. Don't get me wrong. He's not a good hitter, but that's pretty impressive. To me, I mean, that shows that he's a really, really, really solid outfielder. And I guess that would be what I would say is that he's on the roster because he's a very, very good defensive player. He has a lot of range. He tracks the ball down. 4 outs above average in the sample size of time he played last season is really damn impressive. So that's why he's on the roster. But I agree with you. He's the guy that I'm looking at on the 40-man that I'm saying if anyone has to be kind of, hemorrhaged here, it's him. It's him. So, sorry, Jorge Barosa. I would say I feel bad about doing stuff like that, but I really don't. Way under Cesar. And if it's over, we're in trouble. If it's over, we're in trouble. Let's go under and let's hope for the best. Moving on here to question number 2. We got my guy Jason Jarmy. If the roster is set and no more splashes are expected before opening day, I'm actually feeling good. On a scale of World Series champs to 2025 Rockies, how would you take the 2027 Dbacks, 2026 Dbacks? How would you rate the 2026 Dbacks? I say winning record, make it postseason. Well, this question was funny because it's essentially what me and Dalton just did our entire exercise on. C- is what I'd grade it. Now, I don't know what that means in the scale of 2023 World Series team to 2025 Rockies, but I don't know. Maybe you're the Giants or something from the last couple years. Like as it currently stands, I don't think this team is making the playoffs. I think this team is competitive. I think this team is 500. I think this team is a team that, if things break right and you win a few games that, you were losing all of those types of games in the first half of the season next year, you could convince Ken Kendrick and Mike Hazen that this team is a buyer at the trade deadline. And for me, I think that is the idealistic scenario, that this team is in a battle for a wild card spot, a few games above 500, and Mike Hazen and Ken Kendrick are looking at it saying, if we make a couple of additions via trade, we could be looking at a team that could make the playoffs and could make some noise in the playoffs. And I think that that's the ideal outcome for the D-backs season. But as of right now, I think you're going to be about as good as you were the last 2 years. And that's like an 81-win baseball team. And I have no reason to really believe otherwise, considering that, we needed massive jumps from a guy like Geraldo Perdomo last season to even have that record. You needed, there was a lot of things that were, somewhat going well for you. Your hitting was elite, and yet you still faltered and had such bad pitching that it was too much for the team to overcome. And so I feel very similarly about this team as I did about last year's team while we were watching it. Now, last year's team before the season, I thought we were winning it all. I mean, not actually, but I was sitting up here being like, this team's a World Series contender. You know who doesn't want to see us in the playoffs? The Dodgers. Still think that's true. I still think we might be the last team that they actually want to face off against. But who knows if we even get there? And that's where I'm at with it. I think the Diamondbacks need to make a few more moves to get over the hump to getting to that spot. But I think that they're a decent enough team as is. Kevin, do you have any thoughts on that? I know you're not the Mr. D-back here, but just from an outside perspective, you think any chance the D-backs are better than last season, or you think it's going to be about the same?
I feel like, I don't know. You know me, I'm an optimist, glass half full type guy. I'm inclined to say that last year you had a lot of out of your control contextual things happen, resulting in poor performance on the field, such as injuries. Right. And I would put my money that this year's team is going to be healthier. And I do think that this year's team still has talent. You talked to Dalton Feely. Damon talked to Dalton about like the returning players from last year to this year. You're able to keep sweet frogman, Geraldo Perdomo, Ketel Marte still suiting up for the boys as well. So I think you have the top end talent. And if the bullpen and if the pitching can kind of help supplement it, you have the foundation of a winning roster for sure, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you do have the foundation of a winning roster. You have the best trio of hitters in the entire sport, not named Ohtani, Freeman, and Betts probably, which is, or Tucker. I guess you could throw in Kyle Tucker now too, which is fun. But throw the biggest scumbags to the side. The Diamondbacks have the best trio of hitters in the sport. And when you have that, you can win a lot of baseball games by those three players alone. But they're going to need some help. And we don't have the Eugenio Suarez, the Josh Naylors, and the healthy Lourdes Gurriels next to those guys as of now. So what does that lead us with? That leaves us with Pavin Smith needing to take a big jump. That leaves us with Jordan Lawler. Can he become what he was supposed to be this entire time? That leaves us with, Alek Thomas. How many years is Alek Thomas going to get before, it's clear that he's not the hitter at the plate? I think that this is the last one, right? So there's a lot of guys. Gabriel Moreno is probably the number one of he needs to show up, he needs to be healthy, and he needs to be probably the fourth best player on this roster from a position player standpoint next year. Or else it's probably not going to be a very good season for the Arizona Diamondbacks. So you need a lot in terms of internal development, but as long as you have those guys, you'll always be somewhat relevant. And I think that is what at least, makes things interesting as a Diamondbacks fan, makes you excited for the season to start, because it's an unknown when you have Corbin Carroll, Geraldo Perdomo, and Ketel Marte. What could happen? And so we'll find out soon enough. But yeah, as far as, where I'm feeling like this team is a 500 baseball team as of right now, and I hope that they prove me wrong in a good way. Moving on, our next question here. Which team will you be rooting for during the World Baseball Classic? Team USA with Corbin Carroll, Team Dominican Republic with Marte and Perdomo, Team Taiwan with Yu-Min Lin, or Team Puerto Rico with Nolan Arenado. Now, Kevin, I've given my thoughts on this, well known, and I'll get into it here in a second. But do you have a World Baseball Classic team that you might be rooting for?
I mean, as I look at this list, right, obviously Marte and Perdomo on the same squad is nuts. That is the squad to root for. It's scenes. It's box office. Absolute limbs, Damon.
Yeah.
Right? But I know that is also your squad, so I'm going to be different. I'm going to say Team Puerto Rico with one Nolan Arenado, because
with one Derek Montilla.
If he can't play for my Cardinals and he's going to play for the D-backs, I'm still going to root for him. And so this is a nice little avenue to do that. Give me Puerto Rico with Derek and Nolan Arenado.
I'm with Zabe. Team anyone with Japan is really my favorite team here in the World Baseball Classic. We cannot let that scumbag Shohei Ohtani win yet again. It's so funny thinking back on the last World Baseball Classic, Kevin, where Ohtani was the man.
Yeah.
And remember, he was pitching against Mike Trout in the final inning, and he was closing it out, and everyone was like, don't you just love Ohtani? And he was on the Angels. Oh, isn't this great for baseball? Japan won. It's scenes. Celebration on the field.
Did you see Derek's tweet?
And now I hate Team Japan more than I hate anything. No, I did not.
Derek's tweet about all the Shohei Ohtani like outfits he's seeing out there in Los Angeles, and I think he captioned it like this would be Damon's personal hell or something like that.
Derek's hotel had a picture of Shohei Ohtani, big giant life-size poster of Shohei Ohtani in it, and thank God I'm not staying there.
Yeah.
Me and the hotel manager would have shared a couple choice words.
Maybe a couple choice limbs, like fists, for example.
Maybe a knuckle sandwich or two. I mean, I'm going to just go ahead and say that that's discrimination against Diamondbacks fans.
Wow.
It is.
Wow. He's going there. He's going there.
I am. I'm pulling the card.
He's pulling the logo card.
Yeah, that is straight up discrimination. I don't want to see that at my hotel. That doesn't make me feel comfortable. That makes me unhappy. That puts me in a bad mental headspace. Thinking about this scumbag cheater who's trying to steal money out of people's pockets on a daily basis. I mean, it's Team anyone but Japan is right. In reality, though, as you said, it's Team DR.
Yeah.
And wherever Jerry and Ketel go, I go with them. I don't. It's not complicated. It's not rocket science. If they go to the freaking, if they go to the Blue Jays, I'm going with them. I am a Ketel and a Jerry man, and I will continue to do so as the best middle infield in baseball makes its way to the best team in the World Baseball Classic that's going to win the entire thing. And I'm buying my Geraldo Perdomo jersey and painting the Dominican flag on my face.
Wow.
You know how they have the cross right here?
Yeah.
I'm going cross right in 4 panels painted on my face for this World Baseball Classic. It means everything to me.
This super chat from AZCastG means everything to me, Damon. Wildcats win on Saturday, and Damon and Kevin start taking over PHNX shows. Good job, guys. Keep up the good work. Good job.
Thank you, AZCastG. We appreciate you, man. Yeah, I mean, Lando, I hear you. I want to root for my country, my homeland. But when you start doing Make-A-Wish charity cases for Clayton Kershaw, I'm out. I already said that on this show. You start doing charity for Kershaw, and I'm done. I don't want anything to do with that scumbag. Just like I don't want anything to do with the scumbags on Team Japan. Notably Yoshi Yamamoto, Roki Sasaki, and Shohei Ohtani. I want nothing to do with it. Oh, Team Canada, Freddie Freeman, want nothing to do with it. Like, I'm consistent here. What is evil to me is the powers that be in Los Angeles, California, Kevin. And that's what I root against. Get Kershaw off of my baseball team. What are we doing? Should we take Randy Johnson out of retirement? Kevin? What's Curt Schilling up to? I'm sure he'd put on the red and blue.
Nothing good, brother.
I'm sure he'd put on the red, white, and blue. He'd love nothing more. We're giving it to guys that use walkers and are in wheelchairs. Like, what are we doing? Clayton Kershaw's done. He's done. If Clayton Kershaw gives up a bomb in this World Baseball Classic in a pivotal moment, I'm going to laugh. I'm going to be sitting there laughing at what a baffling decision that was to add him to the roster. And honestly, I hope it happens. I hope it happens. Because that means that my sweet baby Dominican Republic is probably doing just fine. So, yeah, you know what? That's how I feel about the World Baseball Classic. I'm anti-Japan, I'm pro-Dominican Republic, and I'm anti-Clayton Kershaw. Those are my three main takes on the matter. And let us continue with Mailbag Monday, Kevin. Michael C., what is the top prospect you have given hope on? Given up hope on. I'm not doing a good job reading. Man, that's a tough one. We got a few to pick from, guys. We really do. Whether it's Drew Jones, whether it's Jordan Lawler, whether it's Slade Caldwell. There's a lot of guys that I think were brought in to be, big-time additions to this team, drafted very high, and it just hasn't worked out for whatever reason that it is. So I think I'm going to roll with Jordan Lawler. I believe more in the chance that it's too soon on Drew Jones, who's still very young. Drew Jones is still very young. He's 22 years old. He just turned 22, and I think he has really good tools. And he also has shown flashes in the back half of seasons consistently. Now, he sucks in the front half of seasons. Go look at his numbers. It's a disaster. You're like, this guy can't hit at all. Then he pulls up in the second half, and you're like, maybe we got something here. He's got like a close to 800 OPS. He's got, close to a 300 average. Like, he's obviously a really solid defender, as we all know. So I'm holding out a tiny bit of hope for Drew Jones. I really am. Slade Caldwell, I think is a little bit more of a, yeah, he was a high draft pick, and yeah, we had high expectations for him. It's also not over, but it was never the juice that was brought in with Drew Jones and Jordan Lawler. Like, those guys were like supposed to be stars. They were top 10 prospects, top 20 prospects, and Jordan Lawler cannot hit, sadly. Jordan Lawler has shown us an inability to hit a breaking ball, an off-speed pitch. It's been a struggle for Jordan Lawler. So because of that, I think I'm going with him. I also don't know, when you look at this team and you look at Arenado, Perdomo, Ketel, where does he fit in? Where is he getting these at-bats that he apparently so needs to prove that he's an MLB caliber player? Because all I ever hear is, well, he can't hit because he only gets 1 out of every 4 starts. Okay, well, when is he going to start starting more than that? Because the best players on this team, the guys that you have sharpied into the starting lineup, are playing his same positions. Maybe he moves to left field. Maybe he takes that opportunity with Lourdes out for a little bit and says, you know what, I'm going to take these at-bats because I've earned it. But for me right now, Jordan Lawler is the one that I am most concerned about as a high-profile prospect that, you know, we're just essentially not getting anything out of that guy, whether it's via trade, whether it's him playing for this organization. It's really a situation that is pretty demoralizing because this guy's hit everywhere he's been, except for when he gets called up to the major league level. It's now or never for Jordan Lawler. He needs to prove something this year, but I guess that would be mine that I'm going with. I'm interested in Jacob's take on the matter. Did Jacob give an opinion? Because I know Jacob's locked into the farm system. Jacob says way too early on Slade. Jacob, is there a prospect that you are most concerned about out of this roster? And we're going to have Big Jake Franklin on Wednesday's episode of PHNX Dbacks. Cannot wait for Big Jake's return. But yeah, interested in the comments. You guys, everybody drop who they are most concerned about out of these prospects here. And let's move on to our next question. Katie May wants to know if I have thoughts and hopefully a rant on Ohtani writing a book about his dog like a sellout. Now, I'll be honest, I wanted to research this a little bit more before I hopped on this show, but we're going to just do it live on air. Oh, Shohei's next trick, a children's book from MLB.com. Isn't that fun? So now Shohei Ohtani is trying to infect the minds of young children. Now propaganda is being spread to the youngins of this country, the minors that we have, and in such a deplorable way. I mean, I'm looking at this. Decoy saves opening day. He's the MLB's most valuable dog. According to who, Kevin? According to who?
This fictional children's book?
Well, I don't remember voting him as that. I don't remember the voters sitting down and saying this is the most valuable dog in the league. What makes him better than Ketel Marte's dog? What makes him better than Brandon Pfaadt's dog? What if those are the most valuable dog? You haven't compared them. You haven't seen them out on the field doing their thing. I'm going to venture to guess that Decoy is nowhere close to the most valuable dog. How about here's an idea for a book for Ohtani, and Easy Catch G puts it in here and gives me the idea. How about a gambling book? How about teaching people how to sports bet? I think that's what we really know. I would buy it.
A book on beating the books.
Yeah, I would buy it. Sports gambling for dummies. Of Fall Guys for dummies. How to blame your best friend and make him go to prison for dummies. Now that's a book that Ohtani probably owns. Right? But man, I mean, what a joke. What a disaster. Is anyone sick of this Ohtani propaganda fest that we just have to abide by on a regular basis? I don't care about his dog. In fact, I hate his dog. I'm a dog lover, Kevin. You know that. I love dogs. I hate Ohtani's. Scumbag. His name is literally Decoy. We talk about it all the time, but is that a coincidence or not? Because it seems like he's a damn distraction to what's really going on behind the scenes. Mr. Ohtani, freaking money laundering and doing all this real estate crap in Hawaii. I mean, God, it just makes me sick. And now he's making money off of the children of society as well. There's no bounds that this guy will not go to make a buck. Seriously. It's all about making a buck for Mr. Shohei Ohtani. And I cannot believe that we were convinced that he was different, that he was special, that he was this sweetheart of an individual. And meanwhile, here he is ripping off real estate dudes for hundreds of millions of dollars. Anyone that buys this book, please don't talk to me. Please never have a conversation with me. Please block me on all social media because I could not care less about your opinion. Let's move on to the next one. I hope that was what you wanted, Katie. We got Michael Rokicki, and now we're getting into the nitty-gritty questions here, Kevin. This question is for Damon. Thankfully, Damon's the only one on the podcast today. You have to choose one. You guarantee a national title for U of A, but Pavin Smith has to stay on the roster the entire season. Or you can immediately cut Pavin Smith and guarantee the D-backs winning the World Series in 2026. Which do you choose?
Wait, so it doesn't
preclude us.
Yeah, that was my question. So they could still win it.
And so I guess my question for you here, Kevin, and I want you to pop on screen for this one. If I was to say the second option solely because I think our Wildcats have a really good shot of winning as is, do you think that's the smartest play? Because I'll tell you what, I'll be honest with you guys. I'll level with you. And I know the D-backs chat probably doesn't want to hear this, but I'm going number one.
Wow.
Like if it's in a vacuum and it precludes me from winning the other two, I'm going number one. I'm sorry. I am. And again, it's not gonna be a popular answer on this podcast in particular, but I was asked the question on Mailbag Monday.
I'm gonna go option 2, mostly because, as you know, I have so much otherworldly belief in this Arizona Wildcat squad that, yeah, I don't think Pavin Smith has a damn thing to do with whether or not they're going to win it all. So they can win the World Series, guaranteed. And we will take our chances in the Arizona Invitational, Damon.
That's kind of what I was asking, if that's the smart play. Because I think it is, because the Diamondbacks are way further off winning than the Wildcats are, obviously. You know, we're the big dogs right now. We're number one. And until we get unseated, this team feels like it has the best chance of anybody to win a national championship as of right now. So I think if you're talking about it from like an intellectual standpoint, it might be smarter to go with the second option just because you still have a really good shot of winning that national title, or at least going to a Final Four in the college basketball side of things. Now, the Diamondbacks do not have a really good shot of winning the World Series if I'm not taking option 2.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the smart play. If, again, I'm going to say it again. If you were saying, and the D-backs don't win for sure, and the Wildcats don't win for sure as part of those options, I think I'm going option 1. And I'm sorry, I've never seen my team in a Final Four. Ever. It's been so long. It means everything to me. I'm from Tucson. I'm a season ticket holder. I've been doing this my whole life. I watch every game my entire life, and we just lose.
That's a great point.
I need it. The D-backs, I've seen like a level of success. That 2023 run was the best sports moment maybe of my entire life. You know, and I know it didn't end in a W, but it was happy. I look back fondly on those times. I remember them with, sharing it with all of the people here in the chat and like embracing Derek when we went to the World Series. It was special, but I've somewhat been there before. Whereas with my other team, with my Wildcats, I haven't. I've never been there before. So it's
I respect it.
I mean, what a difficult conversation though.
Yeah,
you're literally
choosing
pointing
a favorite
gun
child
at my 2 children and you're saying you have to choose one. And I'm sitting there going, what do you want me to do? These are my 2 favorite teams. I'm supposed to just choose one? It's the teams I invest my life into, Kevin.
It's a somewhat evil question. A somewhat evil question.
It is an evil question. It's diabolical. I told Michael it's assault. I think it registers as assault legally. I really do. So, yeah, you're right, Jacob. Once Bobby Hurley's gone, that's when ASU basketball is really going to turn things around and take the mantle here in the state of Arizona. It's a really good point. I think I'm going option 2, but or option 1, but if it's in a vacuum, but if I still have a chance, I'm going option 2 because I think the Wildcats are actually going to get it done. Moving forward, we got another U of A question. Which would be more entertaining? Corbin Carroll playing with U of A men's basketball, or Koa Pete playing for the Diamondbacks? Ooh. Baseball is such a weird sport, man, where it's like there are times where you definitely have like a football player or a basketball player, and you're like, Tobe Awaka could play football and be really good, right? But like Koa Pete is built nothing like a baseball player.
No, I was gonna say, I don't even know if I want to see that.
Built nothing like a basketball player.
Yeah,
Like baseball, the type of athlete that you are is almost so much different than the type of athletes that you are in every other sport, because it's so hand-eye coordination. It's so like your eye at the plate, like how hard you can throw. Like it's not necessarily just like, can you run and jump and dunk and, the kind of stuff that you would want on a basketball court, right? Like Koa Pete is good because he's overtly athletic. Can Koa Pete swing a bat and hit a baseball at 90 miles per hour? My guess is probably not. Can Corbin Carroll even survive on a court without being attacked on a mismatch on every single possession because he's 5'8" and 170 pounds, Kevin? I don't think so. So I think we're looking at a couple bad options here, truly.
Yeah.
But I think if Koa played baseball his whole life in lead up to a baseball career, I think he would be better than the other way around, because Corbin just doesn't have the height that you need to become a high level basketball player, despite the speed.
I mean, if Koa Pete had picked up a baseball bat instead of a basketball, Aaron Judge, anybody? But yeah, I guess give me Corbin on UA basketball, because we got LeBron's son and he ain't playing worth a damn. So we could just have Corbin on the bench. You know what I mean?
He's a vibes guy.
He could be a vibes guy. He'd be a great vibes guy.
It's him and Jackson Francois.
Yeah, but I feel like Koa Pete out there would genuinely, and this is with all due respect to Koa, but baseball is hard. He might embarrass himself, and I don't want that for Koa, right? Like people trying to actually win baseball games for their career, and Koa Pete is just out there doing whatever a basketball player would do on a baseball field. So yeah, give me Corbin Carroll on Arizona men's basketball, and him and Bryce James will sit at the end of the bench and look phenomenal, doing all the celebrations for all the big dunks.
I hear you. I do think if Koa Pete went out there, he would absolutely embarrass himself right now. But what I'm saying is, I think if Koa Pete maybe grew up his whole life and was, a baseball player, that was what he did, we could be looking at maybe a pretty special baseball player. No? A guy, just a Aaron Judge.
Faj saying that he would probably pitch and throw 102.
Probably.
Feed it to me. Why not?
I think if we're starting from birth, I'm going Koa. But right now, I guess I'll go Corbin. I bet Corbin has at least he's probably a good defender. He's probably scrappy,
Yeah.
Corbin's nothing if not scrappy. But yeah, interesting conversation. Thank you, Zabe, for your question. Moving on here. Our next question comes from Brett J. And he says, taking my question from last week over to this week, if you could recast the Mario movie, the first one, or the upcoming Galaxy movie as Dbacks players, who would you play? Who? Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Toad, Bowser, etc. I feel like Bowser can definitely be the Dodgers, and the rest can be Dbacks players. Well, Bowser is definitely Ohtani. Piece of garbage. Trying to ruin the world. I feel like Corbin's got to be Toad because he's short, right?
Whoa! Shouldn't Frogman be Toad?
I feel like Jerry is Yoshi.
That's valid. I just felt the Toad to Frog lineage was too similar, right there. But yeah, no, he has more Yoshi vibes. What about Ketel? Is he the Mario? Who's Mario?
Yeah.
Who's the main character here?
That
Corbin?
one's interesting. I feel like Ketel almost needs to be a character that's kind of more silent. You know what I mean? A character that's a little bit more powerful. Yeah, Decoy is Baby Bowser, absolutely. Mario and Luigi. That's tough. I really wish we had brothers right about now. That would be nice.
Who acts like brothers?
Doesn't Gabby kind of look like a Venezuelan Mario a little bit? Are we? Mario's got a catcher's build. Let's call it like it is. Mario is built like a catcher, right? Get him behind the dish. Let him block some balls in the dirt. Block the plate on a collision at home. I'm taking my chances with Mario. So maybe we'll go Gabby. We'll go Gabby as Mario.
It's me, Gabby.
Yeah, we had Wario in Josh Naylor. We traded him. He literally looks just like him. Jerry is Yoshi. You know what? We'll just say we'll give Ketel Luigi, and then we'll go ahead and we'll say that Toad is Corbin Carroll. special. Who are some other characters?
Princess Peach.
Yeah, we don't have any.
Is that the World Series?
We don't have any women on our team.
Yeah, but is that the World Series trophy, though?
Yeah, it is.
Like you're trying to save that, bring it back home? You know what I mean?
Would be pretty cool if we had women on the team, though. That'd be special.
It'd be generational, literally.
Yeah, it would genuinely, and by every definition of the word, would be generational. Because that would have never, ever happened before. Yeah. Lourdes could definitely be a shout as well for one of those spots. But yeah, well, that's what we got there. Was there any other questions, Kevin?
I do not believe so. One? Yeah, I don't believe so.
Yeah, so we also had a question from my guy, Geraldo Perdomo's biggest fan, who was asking us to combine the 01 and 2023 teams and come up with a combined roster. Now, you missed it because Derek and I did that 2 weeks ago for you. So you're going to have to go back, scroll back about 2 weeks ago, find that episode. It might have been last week, but I think it was 2 Mondays ago. And we did that full combined roster for you. So go check that out on our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. But we appreciate everybody for hanging out with us on an extra long Mailbag Monday edition of this one of the PHNX Dbacks podcast. I'm going to be back live tomorrow. I'm bringing on my guy, Alex D'Agostino of course, Dbacks on SI, and he does the newsletter here at PHNX Sports as well. So can't wait to talk to Alex and get his thoughts on the Diamondbacks. We'll get into all of that. And then on Wednesday, we got my guy here in the chat, Big Jake Franklin, on the show. Cannot wait for that one. It's going to be absolutely electric. Next 2 days without Derek. It's the Damon show over here at PHNX Sports. So appreciate everybody for rocking with me on this one. It was a lot of fun. We'll be back tomorrow at noon. In the meantime, give me a follow at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. Give Kevin a follow at Kevo Posts. Give Dalton a follow at DFeely14. Give Derek a follow at Cap_Caveman with a K, I guess, if you want. And give us a follow at PHNX_Dbacks on all social media. Thank you so much to all of those that listened and joined and watched along, got in the chat, hung out with us today. So much love to all of you folks. And we will be back tomorrow at noon, so be there for that one. But I guess we're doing I got to come up with a little baseball is fun here, Kevin, which I didn't prepare, and I will have prepared for the next 2 days as we keep going. Yes, Kevin.
Baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you're at the Grammys.
We all silly like the mayor.